Homebuyer activity continued to ease off in the month of July. There's no doubt that our market has shifted. The question now is, are we in the big downturn that many buyers have been eagerly anticipating? I'm Adina Dragasanu, OAKWYN Realty, here with your August 2022 market update. Let's jump right into the numbers and take a look at what's actually happening right now. The total number of sales in July was down 23% relative to June of this year and down 43% relative to July of last year. If we look at this compared to the 10-year sales average, we see that the number of sales last month were down 35% relative to that 10-year average. Looking at this by property type, we see that sales of detached and townhome properties were down by more than 50% relative to last year, whereas sales of condo properties only declined by about 35%. This shouldn't come as a surprise. There are plenty of reasons for buyers to exercise caution in our market right now. Over the last few months, we've seen the sharpest increases to interest rates and the highest interest rates that we've seen in our country in over 2 decades. We're also seeing declining affordability due to rising inflation, fears of a looming recession, and political instability worldwide. So it makes sense that we're seeing buyers pulling back from the frenzied activity we saw earlier this year and exercising more caution in the marketplace. So are we currently in a buyer's market? Market conditions depend on both demand and supply. So to answer this, let's take a look at what's happening with supply. Looking at the pace of new inventory, we see that the number of homes newly listed for sale in the month of July was down 25% relative to June, and it was down about 10% relative to July of last year. This brings us to the total supply numbers. If we look at the number of homes available for purchase in the month of July, it was down 1% relative to June, and it was up just over 4% relative to July of last year. Even though it feels like we might be in a buyer's market, fundamentally when we look at this balance between demand and supply, we see we're currently in balanced market conditions. We could see this clearly by looking at the sales to active listings ratio, which is currently at 18% for our region. Analysts say that when this ratio is below 12% is when we're in a buyer's market, when it's between 12 to 20% we're in a balanced market, and over 20% we're in a seller's market. While the market as a whole is in balanced territory, we see that the 3 different segments of the market are each experiencing their own market types. The detached market is currently at 12%, sitting in a buyer's market. Townhomes are at 20%, which is right on the cusp of a balanced market, and condos are currently in seller's market territory with a ratio of 25%. The HPI benchmark price for all property types is currently at $1,207,000. This declined about 2% relative to the month of June, yet it's still up over 10% relative to this time last year. The biggest decline in pricing was in the detached market, which declined about 2.8% relative to June. Both condos and townhome properties declined only about 1.5%. So we're back to our big question, what's ahead for our market? Many people right now are speculating that we're going to see a big downturn in the market in the coming months. And while that's tempting to think, there are a few constraints that we need to consider and monitor over the next few weeks. Number 1 is supply. While the interest rate increases have certainly taken buyers out of the marketplace, they haven't done much to increase the new supply coming into the marketplace. And as long as supply keeps lagging behind, it's unlikely we're going to see big declines in the market. Number 2 is the rental market. Rents are up 15 to 20% relative to last year, and they're the highest rents we've seen so far. This is bringing investors back into the marketplace, and it's also making buyers reconsider whether they should rent or buy. There are certainly some opportunities ahead of us, but if you're a buyer or seller looking to make a move in the market, you need to be more strategic than ever in the coming months. If you found this useful and want to stay up to date with what's happening in the market, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Instagram at adina.yvr, and share this with any friends who are looking to understand what's going on in the market. Enjoy the rest of your August, and I can't wait to see you in September.